Wow, I did not intend to do that. Alright. So we have the data bank. We do have some updates on characters. Cal only one of 3. Agenda 3D1. I know Cordova. We only know a little bit about the Night Sisters. I was hoping that we would learn a little bit more about... Well, we do have... There's probably a lot that we haven't read over about Kashyyyk. Or is it Kashyyyk? No, I like saying Kashyyyk. So I'll select that. We don't really have anything about... Oh, maybe I should look at the tactical guide. Only 4 of 7. Flame Beetle. The Wishshock. I wonder if I've read this before. Probably not. Wishshocks are highly intelligent, multi-legged predators. They are found to be extremely aggressive to most sentient life forms and known to cast an adhesive enzyme that incapacitates their prey in a web-like stasis, allowing them to strike with their sharp and venomous fangs. Wisely outsmarting any foe, they often lower quickly from the forest canopies or burrow to the surface from underground cover. If possible, prey should avoid any web strike, but if caught, fight to escape. And there's the Sleeg. Oh, the albino one. That was a fun fight. Lurking in the subterranean darkness, the vile albino Wishshock is a rare but insidious horror to encounter. Feeding off the brains of its prey for centuries, this nasty, venom-spewing atrocity is far more aggressive than its common cousin. Highly intelligent and capable of super speed, this Wishshock's lunge attack is more vicious and dangerous. I still think it's cute to some degree. Look at those little eyes. Tiny little beady things. So it seems like Kashyyyk is home primarily to gastropods, arachnids, and insects. I'm not seeing anything mammalian, reptilian, avian, or anything of that nature on the tactical databank. And we've seen a bit of Cordova's journey. Still need more from Dathomir. It looks like we found everything on Aelrum for that.
Alright, I need the controller back if I'm actually going to play.
Oh yes, I will give you back the controller.
Thank you. Alright, shall we get going? Question, what is a Sleeg? A Sleeg is one of the deadliest things in this game. Strangely enough.
Yeah, we reread the log for it before, but
hey,
it's
BD.
interesting.
We straight up fought that thing, and it was
So where
straight
were we in
up
all
deadly.
this? This is the second facility.
The
The Imperials have been able to delve deeper into potentially another Zepho ruin.
Get him. Right. Smash him.
Watch out, don't get kicked off
It's
by
our
them.
job to trail you.
Ow. It's gonna take a little bit to remember how to
Without
play.
artillery. I got her.
This hurts.
I'm staying on you. Keep pressure on him. He's too scared. Move up. I couldn't beat you. I can.
Well, that's 1 out of 2. There we go. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna take a little bit for me to get everything going. Let's see, what difficulty you're on? I believe this is Jedi Knight. I tried Jedi Master, but I was having trouble getting the timing for parrying
Stop
down.
there.
What
There's
was that?
something back there.
What?
Look to the right.
I
There
mean,
was
there's-
something shining. Yeah.
Well, yeah, on the other side of those pipes.
Ah. Very well. We'll have to get there
Yep.
another way.
Oh. Missed a door. Well, we'll come back for it later, because there's no way I'm getting back there. But yeah, so we were playing on, Jedi Knight. Master might be doable, but I don't really... Nope, that's the wrong one. That's the right one.
Oh. Probe droid.
Yep. I think my main problem with playing on a harder difficulty is I don't always play this at hour appropriate for...
What is that?
Get away from it! Open fire!
Died against the Guardians.
Yep. I like the fact that we're kind of piecing together things that already happened. Like...
oh, yeah. Telemetry or whatever they call
psychometry.
it. Psychometry.
It's such a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is mine.
I always thought it would be an
Jedi.
excellent power for a detective.
I'll break your resolve. Die with the rest. I won't lose. Take that. Hear me.
Okay.
There was actually
Hurts.
a show that I might want to get back to watching, but it was a little grotesque at times.
Help, please.
Called
BD.
iZombie. And it's about a girl who gets bitten, becomes a zombie, but not in this zombie sense that you would have in many other series where you start to severely rot. It's more of
Hope to hit me.
like being a vampire, if you will.
Not deny me.
Pale, kind of averse to
You'll
sunlight.
have to try harder.
I don't know if she has a aversion to sunlight, now that I think about it. Maybe she did. But
I honestly... There we go.
Feeling weak, BD.
I cannot fight these guys
She-
very well at all.
yeah, she has to eat brains every once in a while. But the interesting thing is she starts to work in a morgue, and whenever she is able to eat some of the brain matter of the bodies that are being taken there for autopsies, she actually is able to learn from the brains, like the last memories of the person, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So then she actually helps solve murders. I thought it was interesting. But there's also the subplot of there are more zombies out there. And some of them have insidious plans.
Let's go, BD.
Enemy
Oh
spotted.
boy.
One hit and you're
Because it
gonna
always
feel
seems to be a topic in series where there are vampires where do vampires coexist with humans? Do they try to pass off as humans? Or do they eventually try to make a sub-society with the intention of one day becoming the dominant species and using humans as a kind of food source? Do you know what I mean? Did you know that there are vampires in Star Wars? Are you familiar with the Inzadi?
Kinda.
Do you remember them? Don't know if there's...
Ow.
Ah!
Control operation.
Don't know if they're still canon anymore, but in a lot of the comic books that I read, the Inzadi were these
Got something to help me?
very long-lived people. They tended to have pale skin, peculiar-shaped noses, and they had these slits in their cheek that would disappear, but they almost looked human for the most part. But out of these slits in their cheek, they would have these two tendrils that they would insert into people's noses to access their brain matter, and they would start drinking people's soup, as they referred to it as,
Ugh.
out of their brains.
Ugh. Hard
But it's interesting
pass.
because when they started doing it, they didn't actually... If they were halted before any lasting damage was done, the person would still be fine and functional. But the interesting thing is, this soup potentially also adds to their knowledge and to their memories and such.
Why are we discussing this?
But because it's relevant to Star Wars?
Thanks,
It's a
BD.
thing in Star Wars. It's not really relevant now.
Nah, that's true. But I enjoy the little facts. We were just talking about psychometry, and it reminded me of iZombie, which then reminded me of the Inzadi.
Okay. So the green box I saw earlier that's accessible is just one of those power boxes. Okay. So I just went on a big loop.
Whoop.
Got it. Launching attack. Gotta reload. Hurry, end it! That's a blow to morale. You and me now.
There we go. What?
Woo-wee.
Oh. We ran out of block stamina. I guess it makes sense that we can run out of that. Okay, so where am I going?
Can't just parry indefinitely.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Okay, let's try this again without taking nearly as much damage. I hope. Let's see. In fact, I think I can avoid almost all of the major fights except for this guy.
I've blocked every blow. Cannot block forever. Yes, try to resist. You can't elude me.
Yeah, but we can vanquish you.
You won't escape.
There we go. Slightly better than last time.
I could use a stem.
Problem is, parrying
Just in
that
time.
guy doesn't actually stop him, unlike pretty much every other enemy
Let's
in
move,
this
BD.
game. Usually parrying enemies makes them, Oh yeah, there's a way down here. Usually parrying enemies, you know, gives them a bit of an opening so you can counterattack, but not that guy, which is annoying. Because I'm not really ever quite ready for that.
Oh, memory? Up there on the left.
Yeah. Give me a bit.
Okay. Nice.
My men will double their efforts. We'll get inside, Officer Crane.
Yeah, just the usual.
Oh yeah, there's a climbing wall of vines.
Yep. I think that whole area is climbable.
Oh yeah, so you might want to drop down to the ones that...
Because
Go down the
otherwise the
lowest.
wall's gonna block me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got
There
a
we go.
pretty...
Yep.
Got it pretty high.
Yep. Not too big of a deal. Yeah, we have a lot of these ropes that are strung up. Oh, I see. Oh, but that's way too high. I should probably use the checkpoint anyway. And we rest. And we're good. Empire strongly believes being tortured makes you evil. I mean, it does seem to happen a lot. I think it's just kind of the lazy way of justifying why good Jedi would turn bad. Either that or just like the Jedi was never actually good in the first place.
Cal Kestis.
Well
How
then.
predictable. Oh yes, I know your name, your past, and most importantly, about Cordova. Tell me, where did he hide the holocron? Outstanding. Very well. You won't dodge the next.
She was correct.
Your demise draws nearer.
Are you doing any damage to her? There seems to be a white bar above her head. I
Yeah.
don't know what...
Help, BD!
Yeah, that's her stamina bar.
Ah. So maybe you have to reduce it to
Yep.
nothing?
I will destroy you.
Good job.
That was nothing.
You've taken off about... an eighth of her health?
Okay. I'm...
This encounter doesn't seem to be set up in
Very
such a
well.
way that you're
won't
supposed to
dodge the
intentionally
next.
lose. It seems like you have enough at your disposal to survive until she gets to maybe half her health. What do you think?
Let's finish this.
Sort of?
She'll probably do the thing where she flees. Or there's some interruption. Because her strikes are slow.
Okay, so I actually got a good hit on
You
her there.
can't win. Accept it.
Yep.
I've suffered far worse.
Almost gotten her down half health.
Amateur.
Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch.
Right here, BD.
Oh, she's using force push now.
Ow.
There
Yeah.
are. You won't dodge the next. I'm the superior fighter.
It only seems like we're at the half point in the game. I highly doubt that this is the final encounter with her. But let's see how
You
far you
bleed
can
like all the others.
take her down.
BD, stim.
Ow.
Yeah, I probably don't want to be in a corner or up against a wall. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Nice, BD.
You're learning. Not quite as gifted as Seer's last apprentice, but not bad.
You've been keeping count.
I'm surprised she didn't tell you. Sarah was never good at keeping secrets.
And you know her so well, huh?
She was weak. Cracked in an Imperial torture chair. Surrendered the
Padawan.
location of her naive Padawan. They would never have found me.
If it wasn't for her, she betrayed me.
Yep, you're right.
You're Trilla.
In the flesh.
I won't let you manipulate me.
So sure are you? When faced with the choice to protect herself or her Padawan, she chose self-interest. She'll sell you out too.
Well, I can handle myself.
Can you afford to take that chance? Your new master harbors great darkness. The look on her face when she saw what they had done to me, as I am now. She turned, exposing her true nature. She used the dark side.
She cut herself off from the Force.
Oh? How long before she cracks and betrays you too? Is that who you want beside you when you find the holocron? What would Jaro Tapal say?
You have no right to mention his name.
I wonder, what would he think if he could see his Padawan now, skulking in the shadows with a betrayer, granting her access to a legion of impressionable students?
No. I won't let anyone touch them.
I thought the same thing once.
Well then.
Kind of figured, though. The moment the Padawan was mentioned, you're like, yeah, it's probably second sister.
Left behind, betrayed. At the same time,
If I were in
I
her
would
position,
have kind of excused it in the sense of, well, first off, why would you join the very thing that ended up killing off your kind in the first place?
Yeah, if I were her, I would have gone into this long rant about, like, you know, she tried to run, she tried to do all this stuff. But when she, you know, gave me up, when she sold me out for her own skin, you know, I saw the light and joined them and then killed them, and then I'm the one left. You know.
The thing is, it's inexcusable what the Empire has done to the Jedi, but they always do the whole, oh, you know, the Empire is right in that the Jedi were corrupt and vile and such, but it's like, well, what are...
Thanks for the help back there, BD. You saved my life.
What are you
And got us
doing?
closer to the tomb.
Also, she only seems interested in enacting revenge against the other Jedi. She's completely ignoring what the Empire is doing with the rest of the galaxy.
The same reason why Bastila joined the dark side in KOTOR. I didn't go down that right.
Well, actually...
Why did she join the dark side?
She joined the dark side because Malik had her strapped to a chair and was torturing her. And I suppose he whispered, you know, oh, you know, Revan isn't coming for you or something like that.
Oh, right. I remember that now. That she was like a vague villain for like a little while.
Mm-hmm. But then you fight her, and depending on what your persuasion and your relationship with her was like and whatnot, you can turn her back.
Yeah, I'll agree. Star Wars never really had compelling villains except for Darth Vader. At least in the main series. Shoot, Thrawn. Thrawn is probably Star Wars' best villain, and he's never, ever gotten the respect he deserves.
Supposedly they've been writing new books for him, but you're probably familiar with the older ones.
Yeah, the old Thrawn trilogy was
Feels
amazing.
Different than the other tomb. I don't know. I don't like it.
Ooh, I like this area.
I want to play one of these games where you are just like a gray Jedi just from the start.
Wait, so... with Trilla,
Yeah.
she said that she was sold out, then she was taken and potentially tortured and then turned to the
I
dark
found
side,
it.
or maybe she joined...
But, Seer, why didn't you tell me?
Because she's a liar.
You.
Oh.
How?
How's she hacking?
I rerouted communication the moment you tried to contact her. Slicing encrypted transmissions was always a pastime of hers. She taught me once. There's no technique Sarah has that I haven't perfected.
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose we can read her dialogues at some point.
Well, that's just a recap of what happened.
Yeah, but so she said something along the lines of Seer used the dark side upon seeing what had happened to her.
Yeah.
And then escaped and then cut herself off.
Yeah.
But there's
Probably
also
because
the
she tried to take revenge. Failed or probably succeeded. And then didn't like what she had become, and so she cut herself off. Because she was afraid of staying that way. Which honestly, like, that's almost admirable. I don't think I'd keep to it. I'd probably just go... I'd probably just go, like, full vengeance for a while.
Isn't that almost exactly what Luke did in the new movies?
Except for Luke.
He cut himself off from
Well,
the
yeah.
Force after nearly killing Ben Solo.
Come on. Bring out that
Which
ball,
I thought was
boy.
a complete break in character.
That didn't work.
But there's the implication that
Ball time? Nope.
Seer has trained others and has sent them after Trilla. Or at least Trilla has been able to kill them.
Ow.
Yeah, within Star Wars, there's always been discussion about,
Okay.
the Jedi
oh,
way.
this is where we learn how to force grab.
The Jedi way is too righteous and regimented and controlling. But the Sith way is about freedom and... But at the same time, there has to be a balance in which you aren't evil, self-serving scum, but also aren't self-righteous and essentially forcing your own beliefs and doctrine on others.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been explored in so many works of fiction. Whether it be, you know, a paladin's light magic and a warlock's dark magic, a bunch of other things. And so there are gray Jedi, or people that skirt the bounds between being a light side user that employs dark side abilities or doctrines, or vice versa.
My friend, these devices... My friend, these devices appear to simulate this planet's gravitational pull. I can't help but see it as a motif. This place less a tomb, and more a temple to one ruler's pride. I found repeated glyphs with the same word, astrium, always near damaged statues. I believe this astrium was once a ubiquitous sacred symbol, perhaps even linked to the vault.
Ooh. An astrium. Magnetism? Or is it influencing gravity?
Yeah, so it grabbed these burning sphere things. Which I guess I can push around, but hey.
And then you had Kreia, or Darth Treya. You remember her from Knights of the Old Republic too, correct?
Yeah.
Now, she thought that the ability for people to
You're running out of time.
For what?
My scouts located an artifact of interest at the rear of this tomb. Even now, I'm studying it, learning his secrets. It seems Cordova was rather taken with these Zephos. Perhaps enough to hide the holocron amongst their bones.
Yeah, we'll see how much you learn.
No more ranged troopers. This might be tough.
Good, they learned.
Bash him.
But with her,
Let's get him.
remember how she would constantly discuss with you
I'll make you pay.
how all of the strife and the war in the galaxy seemed to revolve around the endless wars between the Jedi and the Sith, and that the common people would always be beholden to Force users, and that the only way to truly bring peace back to the galaxy was to abolish the Force, or at least prevent there from being Force users. I thought it was interesting. And we've discussed this with things like, say, the X-Men and such. There's always that point where they say, you know, does the presence of mutants do more harm than good? Would it be better if everyone had magic or powers, or if no one did? You know what I mean? Wander? I mean, I suppose you're
Sorry, I'm
hard
fighting.
at work on the Guardian.
I would say the whole, like, would it be better if everyone had powers or no one did? And I think that's, like, a valid... Ow. I think that's a valid conversation that these things always have to...
I remember when Star Wars Galaxies existed, you know how everyone could be cooks or dancers or mercenaries or just odd jobs? But then when they finally added a way for people to become Jedi and Sith in the game, which I believe was difficult until they made it easier later on.
Yeah, it was really hard.
But after a while, too many people became Jedi and it became unrealistic. But supposedly it really unbalanced the game and people stopped having fun with it. Granted, the game ended for multiple other reasons, but it's interesting to think about. But you were saying?
I was going to say My Hero Academia actually has that.
We're never getting across this gap. Better double back and tell the squad.
Mm-hmm. But
You're getting across. Good luck.
you even said so yourself, how it seems
you're
like
not.
so much of the media for Star Wars revolves around Force users.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jedi and the Sith in their conflict are always going to be a focus in some respect because the Force and lightsabers and such were unique to Star Wars. But Yeah, I'm glad that there have been comics and novels and such that follow the lives of senators and bounty hunters and troopers. But it's interesting to think about.
I guess I'm just in general kind of... I hope they go back to expanding Star Wars, and... I guess it's one of those where I don't feel like Star Wars is a great way to express these things, because for whatever reason, the extremely rigid and kind of...
diametrically opposed. Well,
yeah, like...
Then again, Ahsoka abandoned the Jedi Order and became a great
but they
Jedi.
barely focused on her, except for in the Rebels series.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of Rebels.
Like, I think that's actually... You know, we were talking earlier about the Clone Wars series and when we stopped watching, and I realized, no, the reason why I stopped watching was because they did the whole, like, Ahsoka... you know, Ahsoka gets ousted for political reasons, and I was like...
I thought she was also framed for things, too.
Yeah, but, like, the Jedi were so hard about it that, like, no matter what, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what she said or even did.
It may have even been because she had helped Asajj Ventress,
More of my
I
soldiers
believe.
breach this tomb every minute.
Afraid to face me yourself?
Had your droid not intervened, I would have killed you with ease.
It's okay, buddy. Just ignore her.
And so, I guess the new season of Clone Wars? Do you mean Clone Wars, or... Oh, did Clone Wars get brought back, or do you
Clone
mean
Wars
Rebels?
is getting a new season.
Oh, cool. My problem is no matter what, unless it has some kind of overreaching effect on the movie universe or whatever, it almost feels like it doesn't matter.
Yep. I mean, that's what happens when they discard decades of lore.
Well, it's not just that, though. It's like, imagine if Tolkien had done Lord of the Rings.
Yep. Oh, no.
And then written The Hobbit. Like,
But are you saying then that stories for you wouldn't be compelling if they were set in the Old Republic because you know what's going to happen hundreds of years later?
The Old Republic isn't so bad. Because they're so distant from each other that anything could happen, and it wouldn't matter. But anything written in between episode 1 and 8 is effectively, it might be canon, but it's background detail.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, there's a lot that they did with the Clone Wars, and I absolutely love the Clone Wars as an era. But yeah, ultimately, the majority of the Jedi Order is going... Ooh, Bird Trooper. The majority of the Jedi Order is going to be...
Oh, shit.
...slain, and you're going to have the events leading up to the rise of the Empire and such. Still a number of years for them to explore, but...
I am ready for this. I need a challenge.
I always preferred the media that was set distant from the films.
Another step.
I think, too, what was interesting about the Old Republic as an era was that it seemed as though the organizations, the fact that there were armies of Jedi and Sith and such, and it just seemed like the technology was more advanced back then.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
But, like, to go back to what I was saying before I got ambushed, any character introduced between episodes 1 and 8, if they're not in the movies, they're either dead or irrelevant, and that's kind of my problem.
Or somewhere else in the galaxy doing their own thing.
Yeah, but...
It's a vast world.
It is a vast world, but, like...
Or universe, I should say.
Easy... I keep trying to do the Pokemon spin thing in other games.
To see if there's a pose animation.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But, like, so this character, for example, in this whole plot line, none of it matters because none of these characters exist past today, presumably. If that makes... Well, not past today, past
We
this
know
game.
that Saw will play a part in Rogue One and die.
You know, that was kind of a neat detail. It's like, oh, here's a character that kind of matters. But even then, not really. Whereas, like...
An ancient Zephonian, part of a workforce that helped construct this tomb. They died before the job was finished.
And they just left his body there. Wow.
Well,
good job, Zepho.
Bury him in his work?
Sort of. But I guess it's hard for me to feel immediately attached to any story that is like I already know what the ending is going to be.
Well, we don't know where Cal will end up. He will either die or he will find a way to exist without revealing his identity as a Jedi and maybe find others to instruct in the ways of the Force.
I guess.
We don't know that yet.
I'm just mildly... I guess I'm just... I just feel like, it would be cool if, for example, Cal showed up in Episode 9. But that's not going to happen.
So in other words, you're just putting a lot of clout on just the mainline movies.
Kind of, yeah.
Because I find the games and the television shows and the comics and the novels to be far more intriguing.
Oh, they are. But the problem is, the movies take precedence, so I can't help but give them the weight, if that makes sense. I mean, they straight up deleted the expanded universe just to make room for their own movies that weren't very good.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, I love Thrawn, but I don't know if I can bring myself to enjoy reading the new stuff on Thrawn.
Having already been exposed to the old works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Because it's like, well, when are they going to decide to do the full reboot again? I have the same... I have the same problem with Marvel, for example.
Oh, well, Marvel and DC, they always have to update their characters and their artists and everything every couple years.
And so I like me some Marvel stuff, and at this point, the only Marvel canon that matters to me is the movie canon, because they have yet to reboot it. Once they reboot those movies, then it all goes out the window and I stop caring anymore. Because currently they're telling a long, interconnected tale with a beginning, middle, and no end, but it just keeps going. And it feels like I can at least connect to them and get invested in them in the way that I can't get invested in. I mean, even Star Wars right now. I'm invested in this game just because I'm curious where they take it, but it's kind of one of those where it's like, the ending literally doesn't matter to me. You could replace any of these characters... with, like, actual real movie counterparts, almost. Like, this could straight up just be Obi-Wan in exile.
Yeah, they could have done something like that, but it would have had to have primarily taken place on Tatooine unless he actually left his guardianship of... Well, he was looking after the homestead of the Lars to ensure that Luke wasn't found.
That was weird.
Help, please.
Yeah, but, like, you could have replaced Cal with... Obi-Wan in hiding.
Imagine the artifacts the Empire would have missed if it weren't for your intervention on this backwater planet.
Sure it's worth the cost? I hear Project Augur came at a high price.
Stormtroopers and workers. Expendable resources.
But they're people.
You're a monster.
I am what Ser made me.
It would actually be really cool to see what Boba Fett did in the years between Attack of the Clones and The Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Though, somebody brings up a good point, and I am going to have to almost, contradict myself. There we go. I was trying to go with interject, but I knew that wasn't the right word. I will admit, Avengers Endgame was a good movie, but they did retcon, like...
Oh, they retconned the whole... I mean, I don't want to give away too much,
I will admit, they retconned a massive amount of plot and stuff. And admittedly, it still does kind of work into the chronology. But I think it would have been better if they just hadn't done Endgame and just gone with that.
I hate time travel. Everyone knows this. I say it in any video where the topic of time travel is brought up, but I hate time travel.
I would have enjoyed it so much more if Spider-Man Far From Home was...
I will remain strong.
Ah! Rat's gonna join the fray.
God damn it.
And the rats, are they at all intrigued by him? Can you look back? Okay.
Yeah, they're fighting him.
Yes.
I'm just gonna let that go for a bit.
I love this. I love it when...
Little help here?
Okay. I don't know how much damage they did to him, but it was a little.